It was Easter 2011. Me and the girl I had a crush on had just gone for a walk after school. It went well. I was funny, charming, and charismatic. But my true self was about to be exposed. Before we said our goodbyes, we walked into the local corner shop and I noticed that there was a 3 for 2 deal on Cadbury's cream eggs. My favourite. And for only £2.50, this was a deal that I just couldn't pass up. Like the gentleman I am, I told her I'd buy her one. Her eyes lit up like it was the most romantic gesture in the world, and back then, for two 16-year-olds, it probably was. I grabbed 3 of those delicious gooey eggs and strutted to the till like a man on a mission. I plopped them down on the counter and reached for my wallet. I opened my wallet and saw, to my absolute horror, a single £2 coin. I was 50p short. I double, then triple checked every crevice of my wallet, and as I did, my temperature rose. Sweat began to drip from my brow and I was flustered. She noticed and handed me some coins to make up the difference, which I immediately passed to the cashier, who was already getting annoyed. He gave me some change and I stuffed it into my pocket. Panic over. I grabbed all 3 of the eggs and handed her one, but she didn't say a word. We walked outside and her mum was waiting for her in the car. We said goodbye and I walked home feeling like a boss. But then I got home. I opened my wallet and dumped the contents onto my bed. I counted out all of the coins, and as the number approached £2, my heart rate began to rise. £2.10, £2.30. I moved the final coin to the side. £3.20. I had ended up with more money than I started with, and the 2 cream eggs. She had paid the whole amount and I had inadvertently scammed the girl that I was trying to impress. I had never felt more embarrassed, and safe to say I never spoke to her again. Embarrassment is an underexplored emotion. Austin Butler recently said that in an interview, and whilst he probably meant it in some high art Hollywood vibe kind of way, the reality is far more brutal. To be truly great at anything, you have to be comfortable being absolutely terrible at it first. Whether that's with girls like in my story, or your career, or a hobby, or anything. But we weren't born in this cage. Look at children, they are pure unadulterated chaos. A toddler will wave at a stranger, scream their head off in a packed train, or sprint around the living room completely naked without a single flickering thought of shame. They have no concept of a reputation because they haven't yet been programmed to believe that their survival depends on the approval of a crowd. But then we grow up. We are cursed with the development of the prefrontal cortex and an everlasting uncontrollable burden of social awareness. We start to understand how the world sees us, and we begin to build a personality that acts as a social shield against judgment. As a kid, acting out of turn is cute, but as a 30-year-old man, running down the tube naked isn't an exploration of emotion, it's a one-way ticket to a cell. Historically, the feeling of embarrassment was a survival tactic. In the same way that fear stopped our ancestors from trying to pet a saber-toothed tiger, embarrassment was the internal leash that kept us in line with the rest of the tribe. If you were a social pariah back in the Ice Age, you were a dead man. You needed the group to like you so that they'd share with you their fire and their mammoth meat. Embarrassment is just the sociometer in your brain hitting the red zone, screaming that your social value is dropping and that you're about to be cast out into the cold. Jimmy Carr recently joked with an audience member that heckled him, shouting that he cared too much about what other people thought of him. "Well, yeah, duh," Jimmy replied. "Everyone cares what people think about them. It's what stops us from walking out the house with shit running down our leg." Imagine a world where truly no one cared about what other people thought. Society would collapse in an instant. Embarrassment is therefore just a social lubricant. It keeps the peace. But there's a massive difference between Jimmy's example of not being a biological hazard in public and being so paralysed by the fear of making a mistake that you never even take a single risk. But to explain the latter, we need to understand the uniqueness of the embarrassment emotion. Unlike all other emotions, embarrassment is purely human manufactured. It only exists in interhuman relations. It only exists with a witness. If there was only one man left on this planet, he would still feel the cold bite of loneliness. He would still get angry at a broken tool, feel the hollow ache of sadness, or the frantic pulse of anxiety when a storm hits. But he would never, not for one single second, feel embarrassed. He could walk around in a tutu singing nursery rhymes at the top of his lungs and it wouldn't matter. Why? Because embarrassment is a social hallucination that is only triggered when you are seen, like some kind of Schrodinger's emotion. It's not a biological imperative like fear, it's a phantom produced by your proximity to other people. If I trip and fall in the woods but no one is around to see me, am I embarrassed? And because it's a construct born of social pressure rather than a law of nature, it means it can be conquered. It is a setting that you can override. The reason embarrassment feels so uncomfortable as we get older is because we spend years and years constructing a competent version of ourselves. We think that every time we stumble, the foundation of our entire social fabric is cracking. We are trapped in the spotlight effect, a psychological phenomenon where we narcissistically assume that everyone is watching every move that we make with a magnifying glass. The science, however, says that you're just not that important. In the famous Barry Manilow experiment, students were forced to wear an embarrassing shirt and walk into a room, convinced that half the people there would judge them. But in reality, fewer than 20% of people even noticed that they existed. You are losing sleep over the opinions of a crowd that is too busy worrying about their own spotlight to even register yours. The only way to reclaim the potential that you're leaving at the door is to get numb to the sting. You have to treat embarrassment like a heavy set at the gym. The first time you do it, it is agonizing. You're red-faced, your heart is pounding, and you want to quit. But that discomfort is exactly how you build a psychological callus. By intentionally seeking out the deep discomfort of being a novice, you slowly realize that the social death you've been fearing just isn't real. You can blush, stumble, and look like an idiot, and yet the sun still rises the next morning. When you realize that the judgment of others can't actually touch you, you stop being an NPC and start actually playing the game. Austin Butler wasn't telling you to walk around with shit on your leg, he was telling you to stop being a coward. The underexplored part of embarrassment is the freedom on the other side of it. When you finally stop letting the fear of a red face dictate your life, you become capable of doing things that the safe people can only dream of. The reality is this: your dignity is a cheap suit keeping you from moving. If you want to be great, truly great, you have to be willing to be terrible. You have to be willing to be the joke for a while, because at the end of the day, there's only one thing more embarrassing than failing in public: reaching the end of your life and realizing that you never did anything worth laughing at.